Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Frankowski, and this is my YouTube channel. This is a channel about photography. This is geared towards the beginner, the hobbyist, the novice, people like me, essentially. I've only been taking photos now for a year and a half um, since June of 2019. That's when I first started out at age 37. So got into it probably a lot later than most people, I'm thinking, but have been just having a blast with it. So I got into photography because my wife and I were going to take a trip to South Padre Island, down at the very southern tip of Texas. Beautiful place. And I wanted to take pictures of birds. And you can't really take good pictures of birds with a cell phone. Now, you can. If they're sitting right next to you, you can maybe, pop off a good shot and get a decent bird photo. But you really need a camera with some reach to it, with some telephoto capabilities. So I did a little bit of research, and I ended up buying this here, my first camera, the Panasonic or the Lumix, whatever they're calling themselves, FZ80 in the United States. I think it's called the FZ82 elsewhere. This has a 20 to 1200 millimeter zoom range on it, 60 times zoom, and that's in 35 millimeter equivalent terms there. A fine camera, relatively cheap. I think I paid $300 for it. For a camera that's affordable. But I got not knowing anything about photography. I just wanted to shoot pictures of birds, and this was a good starting point to do that. When I used it in South Padre, I was in auto mode the whole time. I was in intelligent auto mode, which is like ultra auto mode. The camera chooses your aperture, your ISO, your shutter speed, even adds on some JPEG filters for you onto the pictures. I just stayed in that the whole time, had a blast with it. But it really got me hooked. I just had a lot of fun with it our entire vacation. Since then, I just been shooting pictures whenever I can. I've upgraded my gear substantially too. And I'll talk a lot about gear on this channel. I'll show you all my different cameras and everything. It's just amazing what's coming out lately and what all the full frame cameras and stuff blows my mind. So I really get into that stuff. So we'll talk about that stuff on this channel too. But what I really want to talk about today is some photos I took this morning. So I just want to walk through the photos and show you things I like about them, things I don't like about them, things I wish I would have done better. But I just want to walk through, and you can get the perspective from someone who's probably at a similar level as you. If you want to see some of my photos, I do have landscape photos for sale on Etsy. The shop is Head West Photos, and I'll put the link in the description. And it's what I consider to be like my good photos. I'll walk through some of those in another video as well, and why I like them and that sort of stuff. And you may disagree with that, but I think they're pretty decent. But I'm not a professional landscape photographer. I tend to shoot landscapes, but really I just tend to shoot like what's in front of me too. I just always have my camera, and we'll take pictures of whatever. So I'm not like tied down to landscape photography or anything like that. But with all that said, let's look at some photos. This is from my morning photo shoot. Went out at 5:30 in the morning. I'm not a morning person at all, but decided to get up early. Well, actually, just woke up and couldn't get back to sleep. So saw there were some clouds out. So I went down to Lake Wichita in Wichita Falls, Texas, where I am here, just to see if I could get some pictures of some birds in the morning, get the sunrise, all that sort of stuff. So let's walk through some photos. All right, starting out with the photos from this morning. First one here, just some reeds in the water. Let's see what this was shot at here. Okay, so I'm using the Sony A7R IV. So it took quite a leap from the FZ80, the Lumix FZ80, to the Lumix here. and it's a full frame sensor on it. On this today, I was using my Tamron 28 to 75 millimeter 2.8 lens. Really great lens. I just got this one a week or two ago, so I've just been wanting to shoot with it basically every day. Great walk around lens, great reach on it. Shot this at f8, which I think was probably a decent choice here. Everything looks to be relatively in focus, except probably this foreground here. I'm at the wide end of this at 28. It was really early in the morning, so I don't think I updated my camera with daylight saving. So it was actually 7:11 in the morning. So the sun had probably just risen, but was still behind some clouds. I really like the clouds in this photo over all the colors. I don't know. It's kind of a boring photo, but I do kind of like the simplicity of it. Next, so this is what I was trying to get today. I don't know if this is a good photo or not. But right when I pulled up in the parking lot, there are just these tons and tons of pelicans flying by. I didn't know there were so many pelicans in this town, but they all live at Lake Wichita apparently. And I assume a bunch of pelicans are called a squadron of pelicans because they seem to like fly in like a squadron formation. Really cool birds. Always fly low to the water. These are, I think they're called just American white pelicans, something like that. They have the black tip feathers. So, anyways, this was a tough shot. So I had to. So the last one I shot at, what was the last one shot at? Shutter speed of 1/13 of a second. You're not going to catch a bird in flight at 1/13 of a second. No way, no how. You're not going to freeze that motion. So I had to bump up my shutter speed a lot here to 1/200th. And there wasn't a lot of light. The sun was just coming up, and there was a lot of clouds in the way. And this one is pretty heavily processed, maybe over processed. So I probably could have given myself more shutter speed if I brought this down to 2.8, but I was kind of scared of missing focus because these birds fly fast. So I was scared of missing focus on them. And I also had screwed up earlier in the day. When I first got there, I saw it was a great blue heron or something. And I wanted to get a good photo of that, and it flew away before I could. But I had set my camera into animal eye tracking, so it locks on, it sets the focus to the eye. It works great on my cat. I don't think I've ever gotten it to work on a bird. And obviously birds, I mean, these birds are probably 200 yards away minimum, maybe 400 yards away. So obviously I wasn't trying to lock on their eyes, but I think I didn't take it out of that mode, so I couldn't. If you're an animal eye focus, you can't put. I don't know, or maybe I just don't know how. It's hard to get back into just normal where it will lock on and track with focus. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here. So anyways, I was trying to get focus on these pelicans. So bumped up the shutter speed to 1/200th. And instead of putting my aperture down to 2.8, I kept it at 8 because I was scared of just getting them out of focus. 43 millimeters here. This has been cropped a little bit. ISO of 4000. So if I go into 100% on this photo, so you can see the grain in there, or noise, I guess, on the sensor. But they're in focus. They're just, I mean, you can't make out much detail on them either, and there is a bunch of noise. Things I like. So again, I put on a few graduated filters here to try and kill the sky, highlights a bit, and boost the exposure a bit in the middle, and then another graduated filter down here to kill the highlights in the water a bit. Composition wise, I mean, it's the birds really. I kind of like it. I don't know what to think about this one. It's not bad, but it's too noisy. Um, I mean, not probably something I would print off or anything. Moving on, I gave this one. So I gave that last one 4 stars just because I thought it was cool. I went there when I saw the Pelicans. I wanted to get a shot of the Pelicans, and it probably didn't succeed to my expectations, but that's okay. This one I gave 3 stars. What I do like about this, it's just cool seeing the reflections in the water. So this is at 28 at 1/40th of a second at f8. I try to shoot at f8 if I'm doing any landscape stuff, just to try and increase the depth of field on this, just so anything beyond however many feet will be relatively in focus. Another 3-star photo. Again, I just like. So what I do like about this is, again, these just the reflections near the shoreline. Sky was looking good. I don't know if I did any processing to this. Not a whole lot. I didn't want to bring up the shadow area too much because this is just kind of ugly shoreline here. There's nothing much to see. There's a pathway walking along the lake here. I like where the tree is placed in the photo. It's okay. This is a bit better, I think, except for this glaring air here. And this is where like Jared Polin has taught me like the things to look out for. Like, dude, compose your shot without including the freaking light pole in there. There's no reason to have that light pole. It takes away from everything, I think. I do like the sky. I like the reflection in the water. The shoreline is, I like the line, and with the previous one too, I like the line of the shoreline, but you don't need to see much detail in here. I don't want to boost that up too much. There's nothing interesting there. So then I recompose that shot because I think I looked at my screen and was like, oh crap, I have the light pole in there. So then I recomposed it on this one, and I think got a bit better of a picture here. Again, it's for me today, it was all about the cool reflections off the water. You have the line of the shore here, the line of the cloud and the reflection merging with the line of the shoreline. I like that, and I like the tree that kind of adds some like asymmetry to the picture that I kind of dig. This one got 4 stars. I rarely give myself a 5-star on a photo. I usually, like, even like my best photos, I'm like, that's a 4-star. I don't know when I'll give myself that 5-star. I probably have, I'm sure, but I always tend to, like, on my first round of edits on some pictures, I tend to throw a bunch of 4 stars for anything I want, like, that I think is like pretty decent, want to look at later. So again, I like the line of the shoreline. I like the clouds merging. Interesting. I like this composition. I think it's pretty decent. It's a lake. Everyone sees lakes, and I guess the subject is more so the sky here and just the sunrise, which I think is. I like this one. I like the sky in this one. The shoreline, again, I like the line of it, and I like how the clouds merge, so it looks like a lot of other ones too. I think I just shot this one a little bit later. I could, like, if I boost that shoreline, see, that's kind of, when I boost the shadow on that all the way up, it doesn't look good. It's just mucky shoreline. I think keeping it kind of in silhouette, and I think it draws more attention to these, just the reflections. It looks painted on. I really like that kind of watercolor painted on look there of the reflections. Pretty cool. This next one, they'll come up here. Again, I like. What I like about water shots, and it's relatively still water. I wish it would have been like glass all the way across the lake, but I guess there's some ripple action, or just the distance made it look like it probably looked very similar to the shoreline, but just with the distance, it makes the ripples apparent. And it's probably this. I mean, it's not Big Lake, but that's a couple miles across, probably 2 miles to the other side, 1.5 miles, 2 miles or so. Yeah, I like the sky. I just like the symmetry that, the clouds converge with the reflection. The shoreline here is just gross. But what I do like is the reeds on both sides. I think it kind of draws attention to the middle of the photo, frames it nicely. The shoreline, though, is just kind of ugly. But I don't think there's a way to crop this one to keep the reeds in there and to get rid of the shoreline. Unless there was like some, really kind of thin panoramic style looking one. But I don't know. Might have to revisit that one. Yeah, this one I like. How many stars? I gave it 4 stars, so that means I really like it. The reflections just do it for me here. It might be a little crooked. I can't tell. I mean, the shoreline zigs and zags, so the shoreline may make it look crooked when it's actually not. I can't. See, I mean, this is the thing that I'm trying to build the eye for too. Like, again, I only have a 1.5 year experience here, so I'm trying to like really be able to tell if it's crooked. I think it's good now. I don't know. It's something that I have to come back to, like revisit the next day, and then be like, oh. Same with like my color choices too. Sorry, minimal processing on this one. I think I probably just took down the highlights, brought up the shadows. Yeah, you can see original to the edit. I kind of like that. Like, it's pretty good out of camera. I just really like what's going on in the foreground, actually. Just the colors are doing it for me. I like the colors and just kind of the I guess muted tones, maybe, or what it's called. I'm not even sure. What are the settings on this? 1/1000. Okay, so it was getting bright out. 1/1000th of a second. And I was really trying to keep the clouds. Like, I was trying to not blow out and I'm shooting, the sun is out now. The sun is right here. So shooting directly into the rising sun. So I had to really boost up that the shutter speed just so I can maintain the clouds here in the photo. And I think with a lot of these, like the reason why a lot of the foreground and shore and everything is so dim is because I was really focused on like keep the clouds intact, because the clouds are what's cool. The lake, the shoreline is not cool. The reeds are cool, but I think the reeds can be in silhouette. Like, I don't need to bring out the green and the yellow here. I like how they're reflecting here. You can't really tell where they start and where they come out of the water and stuff. This is a cool shot. So again, this is in Wichita Falls, and there's a whole city on the other side of this as well, Lakeside City. It's a neighborhood over there. So you get the water tower and the houses. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it adds some context to the location of it, which is all right. I mean, it'd be easy to take this water tower out too. I really tried to, I'm working on being more minimalist with like edits and stuff like that. I try not to bring anything into Photoshop. I first of all, I don't really know how to use Photoshop much. But also I just, I like to just work with the light more so. I don't like to change colors too much. Yeah, I do like the shot though. That one gets a gold star from me, I have to say. You can disagree and tell me why, I guess, if you really hate it. Very similar shot here. Okay, so this is what I was trying to do now. So I went from this shot. What was that? I was at my settings on this last shot. I took the same shot a few different ways. So it was just experimenting, seeing what my camera does and what the lens does. So this was at 2.8 ISO of 100 for 1/1000th of a second. Now this one, same composition, or relatively very similar composition. And probably just a little bit later. I brought more of the water into the foreground here, which I kind of like. 1/6 of a second. I was just seeing if I could keep it in focus, I guess. F22. So I took the lens, made that aperture as small as it could possibly be, and even kicked down the ISO. So what I was trying to do here was to get rid of any ripples in the water by decreasing the shutter speed. So that would just kind of smooth out, so you get that kind of glassy effect if you just hold your shutter open forever. I mean, the problem is you can't hold your shutter open for too long when you're shooting directly into the sun. So I took the aperture up to the maximum. It wasn't that I was trying to keep everything from right here to right all the way back in focus. I was just trying to kill light, essentially. I don't have ND filters. I just have never purchased those. I can see the problem. So why this was a 3 stars, because I can see a speck of sensor dust there. If you've used the Sony systems at all, you know, this just attract dust all the time. So I can see a speck of dust there, which just aggravates me, but it is what it is. Is this even in focus? So my guess, I mean, at 1/6 of a second, I'm like looking, like the houses way back there don't seem too bad. It's probably soft a bit, but it's hard to handhold something for such a long period of time. I mean, you know, 1/6 of a second. Keep it in focus. Is it straight? I don't know. I might have to come back to this one, but I was just experimenting there. This one, I think I gave myself a bit more shutter speed here. 1/20th of a second, ISO 50, f22. So this one I had to bring up. You can see I brought up the exposure quite a bit, just to because it really need to be a slower shutter speed to get the exposure right. But again, when you're using the A7R IV, like it's a good camera. It's, you know, it's a pro level camera. So you can get away, and that makes it good for amateurs too, because you can get away with being underexposed and bringing the exposure up. Like you're not losing. Okay, it's a little noisy maybe, but not really. It's good. Like you can argue if it's a good picture or not, but exposure wise, it's looking pretty decent. I don't know why I get 2 stars. I think, is there a sensor spot in there? See, I first go through my photos and grade everything, but then I come back later and I'm like, you know what? This one's pretty cool, actually. And like looking back at this one, it's pretty cool. Same shot here. What am I doing now? 1/30th of a second at f13. Okay, so I gave myself more, open up the aperture a bit more to get the exposure better, so I didn't have to boost it so much in camera. Now you can see my exposures at 0.43 compared to 1.63, so a whole, I guess, step lower. Still brought into, and I never bring it into, like, because ISO 50 is the extended ISO. I've read not to do that. I don't know why exactly. I don't think it matters. It probably matters more if you're jacking it up past, I think this camera maxes out at 32,000 or something like that. It's probably worse if you're going into the extended range above that, because it goes extended range up to like 100, 2,000. Which, I mean, if you need to get the shot, you need to get the shot. Or maybe that's more for video. I have no idea, honestly, why you'd go that high with ISO. Eventually, you're just not going to be able to get a good picture out of it. I don't think there's much. I don't think you're hurting too much, though, if you're going below. What I like about this is the clouds above here are creating this, like, I don't know what kind of effect here. It's kind of like this isn't manipulated at all. It's just the reflection action. It must be out of focus, but in a good way, I think. Like I'm just liking that. I don't know if I was real close to that or something. I would think at f13, like, what's my millimeter? I'm at 29 millimeters. Okay, so basically at the wide end of this. Yeah, it must have been really close. Like, I don't know why exactly. Is this, maybe it's just out of focus in general? It doesn't look out of focus. It's hard to see, like, is the cloud in focus? I don't know. It's a cloud. Like, clouds are just kind of soft looking anyways. That bird definitely isn't, but I'm also only shooting at 1/30th. The water tower's so far away. It's hard to, like, really know how sharp this photo is. For me, at least. This doesn't need to be here. And yeah, I can just crop that out easily, but you know, it'd be better to get it right in camera, I think, rather than just having this mushy tree branches. So now I'm at 1/800th of a second. So again, shooting into the sun, f5.6, ISO 100, wide at the wide end, 28 on this 28-75. This still looks a little dark to me. Maybe I just have my monitor down. I'm seeing if this bird's in focus. Yeah, I mean, the bird's just silhouetted, but it's seagull up there. There are so many birds out this morning. I do like the reflection of the tree here. And again, the shoreline, and really just these colors and the reflection of, like, the foreground reflections just were like what I was really liking today. Oh, I skipped over the Pelican here. So again, I was just trying to get these freaking Pelicans, but I mean, I really need a longer lens. So on Tuesday, I have the Tamron 70 to 180 coming. Now that's not, it's not a wildlife lens per se, but I'm going to try to use it as one. I do like it. It's a 2.8. So if these Pelicans can get a bit closer to me, I'm going to get some good freaking Pelican photos. So here we go at 1/320th. So I learned a bit of a lesson and got my shutter speed up a bit, but probably not enough. Now I'm only at f2.8 though, so it's got to be, you got to hit the focus on the bird to get it. Shutter speed probably not enough here, because look at this wing, look at the feathers here. So I think the bird's in focus. You can see detail in there. The wings, it's loading. Okay, there it is. So I can see, like, detail in the feathers. I mean, it's again, it's so far away that, like, okay, is it in focus or not? But I can see, like, the details in the feathers here, except when you get out to the wing. So it's obviously flapping its wings. I think even 1/320th is not enough. So, I watch a lot of Jared Polin, and just thinking what he would say here. Okay, so I can boost my ISO up to 200. Then I can make my shutter speed 1/640th. That probably would have gotten it. I could take my ISO up to 400, and I'm using the A7R IV, so it's a good camera. I can handle that. And then I can boost my shutter speed. I can take my shutter speed even faster to, like, I don't even know what, 1/1200, 1/1250th or something. That would have frozen those wings. And even at ISO 400, like, this will be fine. I mean, you can take this camera pretty high and it's gonna be performing for you. Granted, though, I mean, it has so many more pixels to it, which just themselves introduce more opportunities for noise. And this has been cropped a little bit, not too much. I just kind of framed it as an 8x10 just because I like that that size and was thinking about printing it. I don't know. I really like the clouds here and just the one lonely bird. Yeah, I like this. Just the light. The light's doing it for me. What I don't like is the tree here that got cut off. There's no way to compose. So I really like this tree here. I love these mesquite trees here in Wichita Falls. They're such kind of trashy trees. And the story is that, or so I've been told, is that the Wichita Falls was like a area where all the the Longhorns that are going to market in like Fort Worth. We're all like driven through here, and they'd eat the mesquite seeds. They're really sweet. Apparently, I've never tried one personally, but I've heard. And then they shit them out everywhere, and up come all the mesquite trees that cover all of North Texas. That's what I've been told. I'm not sure if that's accurate. It sounds completely reasonable to me. But they're cool trees, and especially when the light gets in them, they look really, really cool. So I wanted this tree in here, and there's really no way to get this shot well, to get the shoreline, to get the lake, to get the sun, to get this nice bank of clouds and the tree. I was trying to get too much into one picture, I guess, because this here is just it's bad. So like if I were to crop this, I'd probably cut out the tree I actually like in this. I don't know. Let me know what you think. So maybe some feedback that I would give is like, well, why don't you take some like bracketed shots? Good question. I thought about when I got home and started looking at all these photos. I'm like, oh, I should have like taken a bracket. I didn't have my tripod for one, so I don't. I find that when I try to do bracketed shots handheld, I mean, if it's off just by a little bit, sometimes it'll like align them properly, but sometimes you'll see like weird stuff happening in the leaves. That just doesn't really do it for me. But I didn't bring my tripod out, so that's one reason why I didn't do bracketed shots. Another reason is I just forgot about it. But I don't know, that would have made the picture all that much better anyways, but I kind of dig this photo. Anyways, okay, that's getting to be a long video, but that's just me going through some of my photos and telling you what I like and don't like, and you can agree and disagree, whatever you want to do. I don't know that any of these are like ultimate keepers. I really did enjoy a few of them, but we'll see. It's what you get in Wichita Falls, really. Like there's not mountains here. There's not like, I don't know, really awesome scenery here, I think. I don't know. It is what it is. It's a very flat part of the country. You get a lot of mesquite trees and a lot of these man-made lakes. So you try to find the beauty where you can in it. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for checking out my video. If you do, and especially if you've actually watched it this far, take care, everybody.